Hello there, it's George the Fragrance Apprentice. Now, I know what you're thinking. Where's George gone? Well, last week I had a mental breakdown about top 10s and they had consequences, and I died and have now regenerated into this new Fragrance Apprentice form. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking to yourself, bloody hell, George looks great. Like, he's so handsome. What happened? Thank you. No, I really appreciate that, and I can hear you loud and clear on that one. But what you're also thinking is, last week George had a literal mental breakdown about top 10s, and here he is doing the single most generic fragcom-centric top 15 list of all time, 15 fragrances that every man should wear. Well, here's what happened. I did have a mental breakdown over the top 10s, but then I thought about it and I remembered that these videos make me a lot of money, and Christmas is coming up and the gifts that I get people are not going to pay for themselves. So I decided to be completely cynical, and I'm doing a top 15 fragrances that every man should wear. So yes, I've completely sold out, and I think on a spiritual level I'm dealing with it very well. It's alcohol free. I'm not drinking free, yeah. I can cope. I can cope. Look, I know that it's quite cynical, but these types of videos also get me a brand new audience. Like you. You've never seen me before, have you? You're like, how does he know that? Because these videos get me new viewers. Where have you been? I've been doing this for 7 years. Had a mental breakdown last week about it. And I've got about 15-20 minutes to prove to you that I'm worth subscribing. Well, wish me luck. Wish us both luck in this endeavour. So I'm actually seriously going to do this list. This list is very good for new people who are coming into FragCon, but I wanted to make this a fun video for myself. So these first 5 fragrances are going to be pretty much of every single fragrance that a man should definitely have in their collection. Like, seriously. The second portion of 5 are going to be me personally, what I think. My personal favourites that I think every man should wear. And the third 5 are my more controversial picks of what I think every man should have in his collection. So it's a serious video. Let's actually do it. So first section, quite simply, yes. If you don't own these fragrances and you're getting into fragrance collecting, or you want to get into fragrance, you've got to get them. Like, just contractually, you're obliged to do this. First one, yes, La Mal, Jean Paul Gaultier, absolute classic. You've smelt it, you've seen it. This is a 2007 bottle, old school bottle of La Mal. And this is when the lavender was really quite earthy and really tucked in nicely with the vanilla and the mint. Great, great fragrance. It has been reformulated to death, unfortunately. It's still good, it's still fine, but now it's sweeter, it's less earthy with the lavender, and it's more about the vanilla and the mint, and the lavender's really, really been turned down. So it has lost its cojones, but La Mal's still an absolute classic. It's an amazing, amazing fragrance. If you don't own La Mal, just get it, for crying out loud. Second fragrance, 1 million, Paco Rabanne. Obviously, do I need to say anything? Change the game, change the industry. Still feeling its effects today. The cinnamon, the bubblegum were quite a revolution in fragrance, and it really pushed everything into more sweet fragrances. Basically all these fragrances, these 5 fragrances, are fragrances that essentially changed the game. Fragrances that pushed a new paradigm with fragrances. These are artifacts of modern fragrance history, and none is bigger than this one right here. This is Creed's Aventus. Do you know how much trouble you've caused? I do actually feel as though if I don't get it together, the next hour could be just me sort of rambling on about Aventus and how it sort of changed everything. I am in the process of pre-production for the 45-minute Aventus video. Yes, you could easily do a 45-minute video about this fragrance. It changed everything. You know, it didn't just change fragrance in the term of, like La Mal or 1 Million, when there was, a new era of oak moss and pineapple and DNA. No, it turned the tables on the designers. Pretty much every single designer, apart from maybe Chanel, but Dior fell in line, Yves Saint Laurent to a degree fell in line. Like, loads of different designer fragrance houses fell in line the moment that Aventus really became the big hit that it is. If you haven't smelt this, you have smelt it, right? Because there are so many fragrances that are similar to this, like Mont Blanc Explorer now. That's one of the biggest sort of mainstream fragrances that have copied this. But the pineapple, the birch, the blueberries, the oak moss, an absolutely iconic fragrance that changed almost everything about the fragrance world. So, of course, naturally, you're thinking that you're going to see Sauvage. I'm not a big fan of Sauvage, although I did like the Elixir version very much. My recommendation, it's the only fragrance that I have that's like this, is this. My opinion is Prada Lune Rossa Carbon. It's cleaner than Sauvage, it's more soapy than Sauvage, it gets rid of all of the tinny, metallic elements. You've seen me talk about it loads and loads of times. I'm always going to say, get this over Sauvage, like any day of the week. But, right, here's the thing. I've worn a tremendous amount of this. And I'm not a big Sauvage fan because it's cleaner, it's more sophisticated, and a little bit more powdery and soapy. It's wonderful, and it's an absolute compliment beast, compliment monster. In the truest sense, because it is similar to Sauvage, but just a little bit more refined and a little bit more palatable for most people. And finally, this guy gets forgotten, but you should probably own this. Dolce & Gabbana's The One. It is a bit problematic that Dolce & Gabbana are pretty racist against the Asian community. That's not great. And if you're uncomfortable with that, then obviously don't buy this. But yeah, Dolce & Gabbana is The One. Wasn't necessarily game-changing like these other fragrances, but it really cemented a legacy, and it was still a very unique fragrance to this day. You know, there's other fragrances that you could put in here. I was thinking Armani Code, but Armani Code, with all the millions of flankers, has become sort of less unique. But yeah, these 5 fragrances right here, these are the fragrances that you should definitely own, or Sauvage if you want. 100%, no questions asked. These should be in your collection. Now we move on to what I think truly should be in every man's fragrance collection in 2021. So the first one is this. This is the scent Absolute. And I 100% think that pretty much everybody should own this, because it's essentially an amalgamation of all of the sugary, sweet, fruity fragrances, kind of sugar, icing, sugar fragrances that we've seen. And it has, I mean, there's an evolution here. You know, you start with this, you end up with this. Paco Rabanne have been the forefront of the sweet, sugary, icing, sugar genre. And they've continued to evolve it, and they don't get enough credit for, whether you like 1 Million or Invictus Aqua, or the new silly robot one that they've launched. You can hate them all you like, but Paco Rabanne has stayed relevant from essentially the 70s with Pour Homme all the way to 2021. And this is sort of taking the 1 Millions, the Invictus, the Azzaro Wanteds, and it's putting them all together into a very concise fragrance. If you buy this fragrance, there are a lot of fragrances you don't have to buy, in my opinion. You don't need a Azzaro Wanted by Night. You don't need 1 Million necessarily. This is all of those fragrances locked into one fragrance, but it's casual and it's not overbearing, and the projection longevity is chef's kiss. Perfect. It's not too much. It's not too little. It is just right. So it's a great fragrance. Fruity, tonka beanie, woody, wonderful. Scent Absolute. But if you want this DNA but with a bit of bitter chocolate, get the Private Accord. Next one is this. I mean, seriously, I think that every guy over the age of 25 should own Colonia Intensa by Acqua di Parma. This is, you know, a DNA that has been in the fragrance world for literally hundreds of years. Literally hundreds of years. You know, the citrus, the bergamot, the neroli, with some wood underneath. This is a fragrance that's old as time. I was actually tempted. It was either going to be this or Vulgari Wood Neroli, which is a similar thing. But if I'm honest, this is better because it's less sweeter. And what you want is for something like this is you want this for a formal occasion, right? This is the formal occasion in high heat summer fragrance, and that sweet muskiness that's paralleled with the sandalwood is magnificent. It's beautiful, it's expensive smelling, it smells as though you've got something that you paid a good amount of money for. It's amazing. It truly is. I talk about this a lot. But for real, this is just so handy. As you can see, worn a tremendous amount. And the reason for that is, if there is a formal occasion, a dinner, a meeting, or just in general, some people can wear this casually. It depends on their personality, but this is kind of more formal. This is just a great fragrance, even if you have a little 50ml of it, just in case you've got to go to a formal meeting and it's hot and it's sunny and it's the middle of summer. You know, if you live in a hot country, if you live in Florida, if you live in California, you must own this fragrance. Truly, it's great. Then we come to this Durham. Yeah. Well, why would you want this? Well, if you want the sexy sex, oh god, if you've never seen any of my videos, then this is going to make no sense to you. If you want not the fragrance apprentice's advice, but the sex apprentice's advice, then you definitely need Durham. If you don't want the fragrance, I've done it now. There's no point in doing a second take. This is just very. It's a very sexual fragrance, and the reason being is it's got the iris, which gives it this beautiful floral touch, mixed in with some vanilla and a few woody elements. But this is ethereal, right? This is very ambient and very ravishing in the way that it's presented. It's absolutely amazing. But this is very sexually charged, and this is a very sexually charged fragrance. It's incredibly sexy, and it's alive. You know, it's a fragrance that is lively. It's a fragrance that makes you want to go out and socialize and meet people and do things and go on like a 3-night bender or something and just live life to the full. It's a very expansive fragrance. You know, it changed my energy recently when I was not in a very good place, and I wore this fragrance and I just sort of remembered who I was and remembered the life and the happiness and all that kind of stuff. If you want to know more about that, please go and watch yesterday's video. But it's amazing, and I love it, and I think that everybody, well, in my perfect world, every man should wear this, but the truth of the matter is if you're quite a masculine bloke and you like your leathery fragrances and your darker fragrances, this is really not going to work for you, because it's a bit feminine and it's a bit metrosexual, as they used to call it. But to me, it's the dog's bollocks. But if you do want something a bit darker and a bit more leathery, ombre leather, I mean, seriously, every man should at least try this fragrance. Everybody. Maybe not late teenagers, but who knows? You know, late teens, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. This is one of those fragrances really where I can recommend this to any man. In any situation in their life. I don't care whether you're a builder, a docker, blue collar, white collar, millionaire, billionaire, whatever. There is really something for everyone. You should definitely have this. This is for nights out, but it's just so commanding. It's just a jolt of confidence for people. It's amazing in that realm. It's got that Tom Ford stereotypical leather, but it's also very cleanly and very sweet and smooth. I'm going to warn you right here. If you spray this on a card, you're not going to get it. What you have to do always is you have to spray this on the skin, pat down, give it 10 minutes, and then you'll spray it and you'll go, oh. Right then. This is also my girlfriend's favourite fragrance on me, so a little biased. Finally, this is again my recommendation, Bleu de Chanel Parfum. So, people love the, Jesus, look how much I don't know if you can even see how much I've used of that, but there's hardly anything left. Yeah, I've soaked through this. This is the Blue Shower Gel fragrance that we've become accustomed to in recent years. So it does have a shower gel kind of thing going on. Underneath that is this really sexy, sweet, resinous scent that is very deep, very thick, and is just the bomb. This is like the greatest shower gel you've ever smelt, turned up to 1,000,000, with a spiciness and a resinous, almost incense. I always thought that there was incense in this, but there's apparently not. That's only in the original Bleu de Chanel. But I still get that vibe from this. Still get that vibe, that deep incense tone from this, in amongst the best, most alluring, sexy, realistic shower gel ever. It's great, and yes, you should definitely own this. It's great. It's just so, and because of the projection longevity, which is huge, you can wear this in spring. You can kind of wear this in summer, maybe only one spray. Autumn, winter, you can do all of it. It's just fantastic. I freaking love Bleu de Chanel Parfum. I don't get on with the EDT, don't get on with the EDP, they don't work on my skin, but this thing is just that next level. And now to the final 5. These are my more controversial picks of what I think people should own. I was actually thinking, you know, obviously with the last top 10 video that I did, I was thinking of just making it all a meme, just recommending Pinot Silvestre like 15 times, but I decided not to do that. Some of you probably would have agreed, actually. But anyway, yes, here are my final 5, and some of these are maybe controversial, some of them might not be, but let's just get to it. So, I think that this is probably the least controversial one. This is Enigma by Roche Dove. I reserve this for really, it's the Parfum Cologne. I don't personally like Enigma, the original Enigma. People are like, but there's no difference. There is a difference. There's a huge difference, in my opinion. This just works for me. I do like the original Enigma. It's just too much. It doesn't really work for me. It's too savoury. This one has a bit more sweetness, and it's got a great balance. So people say that it smells like Coca-Cola in the dry down. I don't really get that as much. So one person actually said on Instagram that this smells like Escada Magnetism, so I blocked them. Don't ever say that. Not even as a joke. It's not funny. Escada Magnetism was like this discontinued fragrance that smelled like cherry coke. This smells like Coca-Cola, apparently. Kind of. But what I really get is that heavy benzoin that's used in a lot of the Roche Doves. But this with that kind of wood shaving, like kindling, right? The smell of kindling with the Coca-Cola vibe and this benzoin. It's really like this polished, shaved wood smell, and it smells so filthy rich. I remember one of the first times I ever wore this was in a Michelin star restaurant. I now only wear this at like the highest level. Like if it's a Michelin star restaurant, if it's a really expensive restaurant, expensive play or theatre or something like that, I have to be basically in a tuxedo to wear this. And because of that, I'm never going to run out of it because I wear it so rarely. But it's next level. It's truly amazing, and it's wonderful. But yeah, it's like this white kindling kind of shaving, dusty, kind of like almost sandpapery scent at the top. Then you've got this really lovely sweetened benzoin, and then some fruit, which is like the Coca-Cola kind of thing. But it doesn't just smell like Coca-Cola. God forbid. 2 is this Gentleman Givenchy cologne. I think that every man needs this for when it's blazing hot, which apparently with global warming there will be a lot more of that coming soon. But I'm talking 35 degrees, 30 to 35 degrees centigrade. For some of you that will just be a regular climate. And if that is a regular climate for you, then I'd just buy this immediately. This is a wonderful opening. Green, like just so real. I don't want them to reformulate this. It sends shivers down my spine knowing that this will probably get reformulated and that opening will be not like the way that it is now. It's just such a photorealistic grassy vetiver with lemon, and it's divine. It's amazing. When I first smelled it, I was like, that's freaking brilliant. That's so clever, and just got me super excited. After that, though, it does dry down to this kind of more generic, designery citrus fragrance. But as I've worn this more in high heat, it stays and it's okay. So for really blistering, the highest heat, this would be my #1 recommendation. I think that I've done like lots of top 10 lists with high heat fragrances, and that's always been on there. So now we're going to get really controversial. I have worn this so much this year, so much, beyond a joke, and I'm gonna just throw my hat out there, and I'm gonna say I think that every man should at least try this, especially in my age range, you know, late teens, 20s, early 30s. Sunset Riot by All Saints. What a home run. What a freaking home run, right? I freaking love this. It's such good shit, as Vince McMahon would say, right? Such good shit. It's so good. Right, okay. So, it's got that candy floss kind of element of Baccarat Rouge 540, but it's so much more. It's also got this really great intense black pepper, which masculinizes it and, you know, makes it more wearable for men. But it's got this soft, sweet candy floss thing, and it's fun and it's lively and it's exciting, and this is for somebody who is maybe a little bit more extroverted and wants to party. But also, as it dries down, and Chris actually, when I showed this to him in Edinburgh, he mentioned this, I'd never thought of this. As it dries down, it does become a little bit clone-y, right? Like Clone Intensa. It becomes a little bit more woodsy and familiar and not as overly sweet. The opening has that sweetness, has that Baccarat Rouge 540 candy floss redness, laced with the black pepper, so don't worry, it won't just be an onslaught. It also keeps that very good. But then, yeah, it goes down to this lovely, regular, kind of familiar cologne smell that everybody knows and everybody can recognise, and it's great. Spring, summer, autumn, it's amazing, and it's so versatile. That's why it's on this list. So versatile, so casual, amazing. Right, this video is like quite long, so I'll just speed through these last two. Fève de l'Issues, amazing. Cold weather, brilliant. Praline, vanilla, chocolate, amazing. With some woods, stunning. Highest quality of fragrance going. You just need to smell this. Every bloke should own this. It's a chocolate delight. Vanilla chocolate delight, amazing. And finally, you need a fragrance in the cold weather that's a bomb and that's a beast and a monstrosity and too much. You need at least one fragrance in your collection that's a bit out there and it's a bit crazy. There were some contenders here, but I'll keep it relatively safe. Tobacco Vanille Tom Ford. Oh, go watch my review on it, right? Christmas, it's Christmas in a bottle. I went to Estonia, went to Tallinn, Estonia, and I reviewed this at the Christmas markets. Quite an underrated video of mine. But if you want to this is basically Christmas. Essentially just Christmas in a fragrance bottle. It's amazing. And I would just point you to the review. Brilliant. But everybody should at least try that. It's brilliant, breathtaking. Anyway, those are my 15 fragrances. Hope you enjoyed them. Yeah, it's relatively painless. Really hurt. So, if you enjoyed this content and want to see more like it, please leave a like, leave a comment, and when it comes to the Aventus video, you can help fund that video by donating to my PayPal, info@thefragranceapprentice.co.uk, if you want to give more than just a like and a view on this video. Any little helps, honestly, just £1, $1, it doesn't matter, it's all good. Anyway, thank you so much. I'm the Fragrance Apprentice. I will see you soon, and I will actually see you tomorrow. Thank you. Bye.